Sometimes you just gotta make them bite.
Oh, there he is. Look at that. Great big one.
This spot's gotta have fish.
Ah, got him. Good one, boy. Good one.
There we go. There, got him. Nice fish.
That did not take too long.
In the aquatic world, one thing remains constant. Nothing stays the same for long. Ever heard the old saying, "You should have been here yesterday"? Many factors determine fish location throughout the seasons. And to complicate matters, each species has its own needs, timetable, and reaction to seasonal progression. That's what makes each species uniquely challenging to catch. But no matter if they have spots, stripes, whiskers, teeth, or no teeth at all, two main factors affect fish more than all others as to where and when they wiggle their fins: spawning and food. Today, on The Edge, we go after early pre-spawn crappies getting ready to make their big spring moves into the shallows.
Boy, is that a beautiful crappie. That's what I call a
Jim.
whopper, man.
Jim, that's a pig.
Yeah, that is.
Deep weed lines leading into spawning areas often draw schools of crappies, stacked and patrolling their perimeters, much like anxious soldiers awaiting their marching orders.
That is a pig. And look what he ate.
Then we chase post-spawn walleyes as they filter out to main lake summer haunts, following their food as it moves toward warm water habitat.
You know, walleyes are always a challenge to people because they move so much, and their forage changes throughout the course of the summer. And when new opportunities arise and the old ones disappear, the walleyes move along to find the new food and the new habitat.
Big moves, little moves. Fish are always on the move, anticipating where they're going and when they should arrive makes all the difference in the world for catching them.
Pig crappie.
It's a big boy.
Closed captioning provided by Fraybill FXE Stormsuit. Throughout the seasons, peak periods occur during which fish of all species congregate in large numbers. For crappies, which are schooling fish by nature, the pre-spawn period draws mega schools destined for shallow spawning sites. To get in on the action, you just need to know when to look,
Pig crappie.
It's a big boy.
where to look,
Look at that guy there.
and how to catch them.
That is a pig. And look what he ate.
Big crop. Look at that guy. Whopper crop. Wow.
Here, I'm gonna hit a waypoint.
Yeah, I would too. Now you're talking. I
Yeah.
like that guy. Whoa. You know what? That guy there is so big. I wish I had the net. Wow. Look at that. Now you're talking. Look at that, Ryan. That's a beautiful crappie. Wow. You know, one thing that's really vitally important for spring crappies is water temperature. That's one of the key factors that really determines where these fish are moving and how fast they're moving in and out of these backwater bays where they're going to spawn in the next month or so. We'll get her back in the water. Boy, is that a beautiful crappie. That's what I call a
Jim.
whopper, man.
Jim, that's a pig.
Yeah, that is.
You know, the pre-spawn period really is marked by a lot of fish congregating in certain parts of the lake that they're going to be spawning. So the crappies typically will spawn from 62 to 65, but if you're colder than that, they're going to be concentrated in the area or the general vicinity, just out a little deeper from where they're going to move up. And what you'll see as you have different weather conditions throughout the week as fish will move up pretty adjacent to where they're going to be spawning. And then if it gets cool, they'll drop back down. So the bottom line is you just need to focus your efforts in areas where you know they're going to be moving up and spawning. And generally you move around, you actively fish, you connect with a few fish, and you found this school, and you can really focus your attention on them.
That's a nice one. Not as big as that last one, but it's a good one. Come here, buddy. Oh, it's a beautiful fish. You know, what we're doing is actually fishing emergent vegetation out in front of the mouth of this bay. There's like a deep water cut that cuts in here, like 12 to 14 foot of water. And a lot of these fish, we've had some adverse weather over the last couple of days, and it seems like these fish have actually pulled up and they're staging in this deep water, just coming into this bay here. I'll let her go.
When they're spawning, they're on beds, and crappies don't move very far to feed when they're on bed. But it's a different story during the pre-spawn when these fish are scattered out over the flats and areas adjacent to where they're going to spawn. They're schooled up, they're moving around, they're not tied to any piece of ground, so you do need to take a mobile approach initially, which is kind of contrary to what most people think you need to do to crappie fish in the spring. Get on your trolling motor, set it 30, 40 pounds of thrust, and keep moving, keep searching till you find the fish.
Realistically, when you look at early season crappie fishing, there's three different locations that crappies usually spawn in our northern natural lakes. And the first place that they go into, which warms the quickest, are the back channels. After that, you have these shallow backwater bay areas like we're fishing right here. And last are the main lake area. And these are going to be the last fish that are going to spawn, are going to be out on these main lake islands. Fish in the back bays may spawn a month earlier than the fish out in the main lake areas.
On
What?
a crankbait, a little Rapala finesse sinking crankbait. Look at that, that's cool. That's a confidence builder when you do that in the first cast. Look at that little ultralight crankbait here by Rapala, finesse sinking. Made a cast, counted it down for about 4 seconds, about 4 feet, and started doing a slow retrieve. And
before you can catch pre-spawn crappies, you first need to find them. That's why we like to begin with horizontal search baits. Tops on our list are mini crankbaits, like Rapala's ultralight minnow, shad, and crank. Swim baits like Storm's 2-inch swim shad, and hair jigs like VMC's marabou jig. The speed of the retrieve is a balance between cover and water to find them and what they're willing to chase down. Once a concentration of crappies are found, slowing down and casting a VMC hot skirts jig dangling below a float provides a subtler option for tempting fussier fish to bite.
That's a biggie there. Oh, we're talking.
oh, I'm hooked up too, Jim. Doubles,
another
man.
whopper there. Look at that.
I got a dog too, Jim.
Easy. Yep. Now look at that guy there. Wow, beautiful fish. Look at that guy. Come here, buddy.
Nice, Jim.
You know what you said there, and you said something really interesting. And what I did, you said you reeled it down to 4. I counted down the 4, the exact same thing, and I started reeling the bait. So what it is, because we're in a little bit deeper water here, that's one thing that you have to understand, that we were talking about water temperature, why that's so important at this time of the year. Because a lot of times what these crappies will do, will move up and down in the water column. It's real common to catch these fish 3 foot down over 10, 12 foot of water. They're coming up and then they'll go into the bays. A lot of times you catch them up really quite high in the water column.
That was pretty cool. Just made a long cast again, counted it down to about 4 feet and just slow rolling it.
Equipment is a big part of crappie fishing. That's no question about it, because you're actually throwing a very, very light bait. This is a 16th ounce VMC hair jig, pink in color, but I have it spooled on with a 15 smoke reel. This is 6-pound test elite, Suffix Elite, on a 6.5 foot, really medium soft action rod. But what this enables you to do is cast this light bait, this combination, the rod, reel, and line, to cast this light bait, 16th ounce jig. I can cast it 75 feet, easy. And that's one thing critical for crappie fishing, is you can manipulate these light baits. There's a pack of them here, Ryan.
Big crappie. Look at right there. That was really cool,
You
man.
watch them come up and hit it?
Well, it's like an aquarium here. I gotta flip it in. Jimmy didn't pack a net as usual.
Yeah.
It's like an aquarium. I'm looking down. It's kind of the calm before the storm. We got this front moving, and I look down. I got this clown-colored crankbait on, and I look behind it. Mr. Crappie's just sniffing. I stop the bait just like you would smallmouth fishing. And the guy comes up and grabs the rear treble. That's pretty fun, huh?
That was cool.
Power fishing crappies on crankbaits. Sight fishing, power fishing, crappies on cranks. Not a big fish, but pretty guy.
There he is. Oh, big boy. Look at that guy. Yep, come on, buddy. Not a bad one though. Like anything, you know, crappies are unquestionably one of North America's favorite fish, and for good reasons. They're good action, there's lots of them, and they're even really tremendous eating, which this guy here,
Borderline.
you borderline, you want to let him go?
Yeah, we can toss that guy back.
Oh,
Let him
okay.
For more on locating and catching vagabond crappies throughout the season, be sure to check out Crappies on the Move and other installments in the Angling Edge instructional DVD collection available at anglingedge.com.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors. After the spawn, walleyes disperse into the surrounding habitat, turning their attention to food, cover, and other essentials. How far and fast they spread largely depends on the actions of their forage base, because wherever their food goes, big walleyes won't be far behind. And if you anticipate their travels and are there to greet them upon arrival, the trophy bite starts out good and only gets better.
That looks good.
This time of year, it's so much fun. You know, it's like a peak time for these deep water spawned out sows like this. Yeah, you know, they're the first ones to make that appearance, man. Yeah, you know, we'll have to look at that. All good fish. When you get them, you don't get a lot of those little fish yet. Look at it. Swinger here, swinger here. Hang on, baby. You know, these fish are doing so many things right now. There's fish up in the shallow weed, the new developed weed beds. There's a rip jigging bite going on in there. There's a rock, whoa! There's a rock bite that the corkers are on and throwing crankbaits on there. There's a trolling bite across the flats. So what I'm saying, there's fish on rocks, there's fish in weeds, there's fish in shallow structure, and you got these deep water structures that are starting to attract good size and good numbers of the biggest walleyes in the system in a lot of cases.
Feel decent?
Yeah, all right. He leaves the net
Pointed toward you.
nice fish, Dave. Really a nice fish. Look at that beauty. Oh.
What? You're a good net man.
I am. Come here, baby. Come on. I'm just a nice guy. Come out the other way, man. Here we go. Oh, how about that, huh? Okay. Got her?
Yep.
I'll keep the net up by me just for
Yeah,
a minute
that's good.
or two.
That's good. We want to make it easy on you. There it is. Little hooking on the side. Historically, on these bodies of water at this time of year during the transition, it's a great time for live bait rigging with leeches. And this is just a very simple setup with a VMC fluorocarbon snell here. Little 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce sinker, just tickling the edges of some of these mid-lake flats. You catch a lot of fish like these. It's very efficient. During the transition period from spring to early summer, walleyes typically filter away from shallow spawning sites toward summer feeding areas, often following perch or shiners as they shift toward deeper water. Whether it's instinct, experience, or some combination of both, big females are typically the first fish to show up in summer walleye spots, with smaller males lingering behind in the shallows. In large lakes like we're fishing today, the first places big fish tend to gather are main lake points and turns along the primary drop-off to deep water. Next, nearshore humps begin drawing fish activity. And as additional bait fish move offshore, structures lying farther out into the basin begin to attract walleyes.
Oh, Dave. Good fish again. Good fish again. This is a good one again.
That one was up in about 22.
I like it. I like it. This may be the best fish I've had so far today. She's a good one. Look at that size of that front. Boy, she's going. All right, look at her. Look at her. Oh, I just love looking at that. All right. All right. Man, oh man. She's hooked. I set right away on that one. Look at that. I set immediately as soon as I felt the fish.
Nice one, Al.
I come back up and popped her right away, man. Whew. You know, I love walleye fishing, and I like catching them any way you can catch them. I love pop jigging. I love throwing jigging wraps. I love spinners, flatline trolling, live bait rigging. Every one of these different presentations are key during certain times of the year and certain situations. And when it comes to precision fishing on deep water structure, spot on the spot, working with that transom mount trolling motor and using live bait rigs where it sits in front of the walleye's face for a long period of time like this is tough to beat.
When big walleyes first arrive in earnest in deep water locales, they tend to feed throughout the day, perhaps because forage is still somewhat limited and they can't afford to be fussy. Classic live bait rigging with live leeches really does a number on the fish at this time. As time progresses and more forage becomes available, walleyes tend to become more selective, feeding for shorter periods at specific times of the day. That's when quicker presentations like trolling spinners or crankbaits come into play, generating reaction strikes by moving swiftly amidst the wealth of available food. In the end, the better you adapt to walleye movement and changing feeding attitudes, the more and bigger fish you catch. For the ultimate and classic boat control, you want a transom-mounted trolling motor like this Minn Kota Vantage here. And we got a couple things going on. For one thing, we're pulling backwards against the flat transom in the boat, so it automatically slows us down. And then all we need is to slightly overcome the force of the wind and angle our handle left or right to maneuver the boat very slowly and precisely. And if we want to just match the force of the wind, we do it exactly with the thrust on the trolling motor and we hover in place. The neat thing about this advantage is that it has articulated steering, and so you only have to turn the handle just a little bit to get the motor to turn a lot. I think it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. And so it's just very minor hand movements for steering, fingertip control for your throttle. It's about the easiest way you could possibly hope to control the boat precisely for walleyes. And as you can see, today it's been very effective.
David, I think while you were sitting here, I think I've just got myself a big gal. I got one, Mr. Sanda, one worth setting the hook on. One worth setting the hook on. Seeing that I got the net by me, I think I'll use my own. I'll do my own net. You're not allowed to net my fish.
I got it. I can do it for you.
Are you? You're going to be that nice to me?
If it's too big, I'll knock it off.
That's just a nice one. Just a nice one, bud. Just a nice one. Hang on. Look at that. Just a nice one. Come here. There we go. Look at that. Another nice fish.
Al's got monofilament on his main line. I'm fishing a braided line here, Suffolk Performance Braid. And it means that there's no stretch in this line. It's very sensitive, but also when I set the hook, I'm not going to really ram it home. Just kind of tighten up, and that should be more than sufficient to bury that hook in there.
Looks like I might have to net it.
Well, yeah, I think maybe. You don't want you to get out of practice, you know.
Oh yes, he's a nice fish, babe. Not a giant, but a nice one. Oh man, that's not a bad one.
It's a really nice fish. Boy, catch fish like that all day long, it's a great day on the water. You know, walleyes are always a challenge to people because they move so much, and their forage changes throughout the course of the summer. And when new opportunities arise and the old ones disappear, the walleyes move along to find the new food and the new habitat.
Hey, for more detailed information or to purchase any products you've seen on this show, go to lindermedia.com.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
You know, God's Word has a lot to say about wisdom. And rule of thumb is the older you get, the wiser we should be, right? We experienced at that point in our life all of the challenges that this world has to offer us. And in many cases, I'm sure many of us would reflect back. I know in my case I do. There's a number of things that if I had an opportunity to do differently, I would definitely have done them a different way than I did. One of the things that I've been thinking about lately, and it was just after I read this little thing on the 10 Commandments, a list of the 10 Commandments, was number 5. What's number 5? The 5th commandment, what is it? Honor your father and your mother. You know, my mom died at an early age, and then my dad lived for quite a few years after that. And he would spend a lot of time living at my house, and then after a while, after 2 or 3 months, he'd get bored with my kids or what we were doing, and he'd go over to my brother's house and hang around there for 2 or 3 or 4 months, whatever he felt like doing. But both my parents loved the fish, especially my mother. And lately I've been thinking about the fun times that I had with them, particularly in fall of the year, like it is right now here in Minnesota. And they used to love to go walleye fishing and crappie fishing. And I would get them out every fall, but I never took them out as much as I wished I did. And that's what I'm thinking about now. Boy, if I had to do over again, I would fish with them more. And I just wanted to share that with you. If your parents are still alive, take an opportunity this week, today, give them a call, tell them that you love them, invite them out on a fishing trip, go do something that they like. It's one of God's commandments. That's a smart thing to do. From all of us here at The Edge, you have a good fishing season. We'll see you on the water.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching. And if you really like what you see, we got a whole lot more. So check us out at any one of these online outlets.